everyone, and welcome to Thorough Newspaper Analysis, which is brought to you by LawSikho. Let's see what articles we will be discussing today from the Indian Express and the Hindu. So majorly, we have only two articles. Both are from the Indian Express, and the first one is For Better Health, which is again an article from on page number 8 of Indian Express, and basically talks about the idea of digitizing the health sector, and also talks about the pros and cons that are attached to the National Digital Health Mission. So it is a very important topic for our general awareness as well, and secondly for our syllabus too. And second article, which is Getting Agri Markets Right, is again from page number 9 of the Indian Express, and it talks about the recent agricultural infrastructure fund that has been announced by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, which is for amount 1 lakh crore rupees, which is very huge. But then again, it talks about the various sectors and various areas of attention that we should pay to, and that is why we would like to learn it into the similar direction. Now, and on the third, we have the News and Flash section, wherein we'll be discussing the short and crisp pointer news items that are specifically important for our, the fact development, and also for the prelims point of view. With this, I would again like to announce to all of you that now we have come with an exclusive Hindi TNA, which is a thorough newspaper analysis by LawSikho itself. And then in that session, a complete analysis of both these newspaper of the papers and of the similar articles would be done in Hindi. मैं ये फिर से बता देती हूँ कि वो सारे जो व्यूअर्स हमारे इस न्यूज़ एनालिसिस को देखते हैं स्पेशली हिंदी के लिए, सो उनके लिए ये बहुत अच्छा एक मौका है कि अब आप ये पूरा एनालिसिस पूरी प्योर हिंदी में भी देख सकते हैं ऑन द वेरी सेम चैनल. यू विल फाइंड इट विद द सिमिलर नेम थॉरो न्यूज़पेपर एनालिसिस, बट देन इट वुड बी इन हिंदी. सो यस, यू कैन अवेल इट फॉर योरसेल्फ. With this, let's have a glimpse at the courses that we have at LawSikho, and the best of these is the Lord of the courses, which we know as the Judiciary Test Prep course. Basically, here it is one of the best courses that you can find for judicial services preparation, and also on the landing page, the link is there in the description box. You can find for yourself this free study material, which you can download and also can use it in your preparation. Then you can have a look at the various other courses as well anytime you wish to. With this, let's see that what is the multiple choice question for the day. West Bank, recently seen in news, is a disputed territory or area between Israel and, so you have to find out that it is disputed between Israel and which other either country or place, whichever it is. First, Syria. Second, Lebanon. Third, Jordan. Or fourth, Palestine. Now here is the descriptive question for you all. When we look forward to digitize India, the health sector must also be brought into its ambit. In this light, discuss the pros and cons of National Digital Health Mission. The answer to this has to be written within a word limit of 250 to maximum 300 words. You may refer to the discussion that we will have today, and you can jot down the answer in the comment section below. With this, let's quickly start the discussion for the day, which would be started with the National Digital Health Mission, which is also known as NDHM in short. First of all, let's see that why at all we are discussing this. Basically, the launch of NDHM, which is the National Digital Health Mission, was the centerpiece of Prime Minister Modi's speech on India's 74th Independence Day. Yes, so recently, because we know that on this 15th August, we celebrated a very enthusiastic, though of course we were limited due to coronavirus, but yet we celebrated the 74th Independence Day for that matter. And here the Prime Minister of our country, he addressed to various issues and various goals that we are looking forward to. In that light, one of the key highlights of his contentions was the NDHM, which is the National Digital Health Mission. That is why, first of all, it becomes important for us to understand firstly, the background of NDHM. Secondly, the objective of NDHM. And thirdly, the pros and cons, or the benefits, or the merits or demerits that are attached to this idea. First of all, let's see that what are the main features. So the main feature of the NDHM is the National Health ID. Basically, it's just like we have various other identity cards with us. Like, for example, we have the Aadhaar card. So basically, if you want to avail any particular service of the government, you can just put forward your Aadhaar card and you can be a beneficiary of that service if at all you come under that list. Similarly, this idea of National Health ID is proposed under this big umbrella of National Digital Health Mission. According to this idea, a person who will have this National Health ID will simply be given a complete, to say, online space, or to say, to be more specific than an online space. Through this National Health ID, he will be able to avail various kinds of facilities that are available in the health sector. Further, it will be very easy for him to contact various hospitals, doctors, and to also supply or give forward his own reports, x-rays, his medical history, the medications or the diagnosis that he has been taken, etc., etc. So basically, this National Health Card is of very use, to say, because then it will make the process quite easier, first of all, and secondly, the this problem of carrying your reports everywhere, because many a times it happens that if you're referring to a new doctor altogether, you need to carry all your reports, all your prescriptions, your x-rays, everything for that matter, to this new doctor. Many a times there is a problem of clarity. Sometimes you forget to carry the most important report that was necessary. So in such scenarios, it becomes really difficult to collaborate and coordinate at various corners of health sector. But this health ID, or the National Health ID, will actually bring together all the patients and all the services that are available in the health system, and then a better cooperation can be developed. But then again, it is not all. Definitely, there are some issues also that are attached to it, which we will just now study. Now, let's understand in a further detail that what is the National Health ID. So first of all, in 2017, National Health Policy, it was for the first time that it was underlined the need for a repository of medical information. Basically, repository means a collection of anything. For example, you have a folder in which you have a repository of all the pictures that you have been to. So there you might have been to vacations to various places. So you have created a repository of all those memorable pictures. In the similar manner, a repository of health or medical information means that in a particular folder or at one particular place, we have the information regarding to the medical history or health or various other diagnosis of various patients at one place. This at one place can help not only the doctors and the patients to coordinate in a better manner. Secondly, it can be a big resource for the research and development wing to analyze that what kind of diseases are more prevalent in India, what kind of people are more prone to a particular disease, etc. And the research can be made in a better and more efficient manner. Then again, it's a kind of chronology or a timeline which we need to understand for our own understanding. Most probably a question from this particularly would not be asked that tell about the timeline or chronology of the NDHM and so. But yes, if we know it from the background and from the base, definitely we are in a better position to take up that question. So then again in 2018, the Niti Aayog, which is the official government think tank, Niti Aayog proposed the creation of National Health ID. So basically, it was also supported by Niti Aayog, and it also proposed that we should have in hand what we are calling as the National Health ID. Now, here is another question for you all. If you can answer it, do jot it down in the comment section below. That who is the chairperson of Niti Aayog? And I'm not basically asking the name of that person. Which position or which post actually governs as the chairperson of Niti Aayog? If you can write it down, it's really great. So it will work as a health account of every Indian. Now, basically, just like we have our PAN cards, or just like we have our government IDs like the Aadhaar card and so many other IDs like that, it will work as a health account for every Indian. It will help in creating a digital ecosystem for healthcare, which we just discussed in detail. Then the ID and health facility registry shall be owned, operated, and maintained by the government. So this should be kept in mind, that is the government only only entity that will be involved in this, or will there be someone else too? So there may be a prelims question also based on this, that it might be quoted that only and only the government can be a part in this. So that's not the truth, because yes, the ownership, operation and maintenance will be done by the government. But then again, private operators will have equal opportunity to integrate with the system and create products, because now we are focusing a lot and we are really encouraging the public-private partnerships, to which we also call as the PPPs. So basically here in PPPs, the private companies or the private entities also come at par with the government, and also they coordinate with it to give better outcomes and better results. And in similar manner, in this also, the National ID and Health Facility Registry, the government will have the ownership, operational activities and the maintenance. But then again, the private operators will also have equal opportunity to integrate with the government. And then the patients can choose the documents to be shared with whom and for how long they can be shared. So it will be just in line with the UPI, like we have the Bhim UPI app. So similar to that also, here the patients will be the sole decider, that they will decide that which all reports or documents or all the information they have to share, with whom they have to share, and for how long they have to share. Like for example, if a patient goes to some particular doctor or a particular hospital and he does not feel satisfied with that the treatment that he's getting over there, so he can definitely deny the access to his reports and documents to that particular hospital, and can definitely move to other doctor or other clinic for that matter. So let's see that what are the global instances related to this. In 2005, UK's National Health Service, which is NHS, started a program to create health record system to have a centralized electronic health record of all the patients by 2010. So it has already been done by United Kingdom. But the program was later dismantled after an expenditure of 12 billion euros. So due to some circumstances, it was not that big a success over there. So it became the most expensive healthcare IT failure. What are the fundamental problems in Indian healthcare? Let's see ki agar, if in any situation this is brought in India, then what can be the challenges that it might be able to face? First, shortage of medical personnel. So according to the WHO's norm, which is the World Health Organization, it says that ideally there should be one doctor for every 1,000 patients. But currently in India, the situation is that for every 1,450 patients, that is approximately 1,500 patients, we have only one doctor. So basically there is a burden of extra approximately 500 patients on each doctor for that matter. So first of all, this should be addressed. And then secondly, poor state of primary healthcare. Now we all know about that, because in India also it was discussed at a very large, that if the COVID-19 situation had penetrated deeper into the rural areas as well, what could have been the situation? Because it is believed that obviously the primary healthcare, and that too in the rural areas, it is very, not very good as compared to the urban ones. So in that scenario, it would have been really devastating in the rural areas. And so it is very important for us that we pay more and more attention to the growth and betterment of primary healthcare. And then third point, country's data protection law is under process. Now, again and again, this has been reiterated several times whenever we also discuss this into our analysis, whenever we are talking about the personal data or making more advances in bringing out the personal data. The biggest issue that is involved is that the National Personal Data Bill, which is still a draft bill, to say it is still has never been made an act. So that needs to be formalized first of all, so that the people they feel more safe, they feel safer, and they feel that their data will be protected, and in no way their medical data, which is of very, very huge importance to them as well and to the nation at large also. So that is not misused. That is why we need to have the data protection laws in hand, and we need them to be functioning in a very effective manner. With this, let's start the discussion for our second article for the day, which talks about the Agricultural Infrastructure Fund. Basically, Prime Minister Narendra Modi very recently announced an amount of rupees 1 lakh crore as for the AIF, that is the Agricultural Infrastructure Fund. Basically, here is a tip for all of you. Whenever such names like Agricultural Infrastructure Fund or National Digital Health Mission example, they come, there is no need to be very nervous about them, as to, because many times they seem to be very technical in nature, and we do not we are not able to understand as to what they want to convey. But basically, this will be a tip for all of you reading anything, taking up any exam. Always try to understand the gist of the basic words that are used. Like in this Agricultural Infrastructure Fund. Basically, agriculture, all of us know what agriculture is. Fund means any amount of money that has been granted. Infrastructure means the growth or development of any structure that helps in functioning of a particular thing. For example, when we talk about the infrastructure in health sector, what could be the infrastructure or the buildings that could help in a health sector? The hospitals, clinics, doctors, better medical equipments, etc., ambulances, and so and so. Similarly, in the field of agriculture, what could be the infrastructures? better machinery, better methods of harvesting, better methods of storing, like the cold stores, etc., better methods of transportation and all. So basically, the AIF also is a fund which has been granted to the agriculture sector for the development of the infrastructure related to the agriculture. Here is the total in totality. This is the idea of the AIF. Now let's see in specific that what is the purpose of AIF. First, build post-harvest storage and processing facilities. Now, since we know that the infrastructure that is related to agriculture is needed at various stages, even before the seeds are sowed, like before the sowing period, then during the planting or whenever the growth is going on, and then also post-harvest. So basically, this AIF is specifically more to say sensitive towards the building of post-harvest storage and processing facilities, because it says that many a times it is very difficult for the farmers to get away with all the produce that they have generated. Like for example, this is just an example. He is able to produce 100 kgs of wheat in his field, for example. Okay, so for his family requirements, he needed 10 kgs only, so he kept it. Now for the rest of the 90 kgs of the harvest or the wheat that now he has, the market is already saturated and he's finding no potential buyer to buy his product at a good price, because obviously it is not just about just dumping your produce or harvest. You also expect a good price for that matter. Here, these cold storages or the storages or processing facilities come handy, wherein the farmer is able to store his produce for a longer period of time, so that it does not even get deteriorated, it does not rot. And further, when the market becomes ready to absorb his harvest or his produce, at that time he can also avail good prices for his produce. And for processing facilities are like, for example, if he is working for example, he is sowing sugarcane in his field, and through processing facilities, he can transform that sugar into jaggery or sugar or various other sucrose or glucose products. Then definitely the value of his sugarcane will increase. And thus, this AIF will particularly focus more on the storage, post-harvest storage facilities, and also the processing facilities. Then it will provide loans at concessional rate to producer organizations and other entrepreneurs. So basically, loans would be provided to the FPOs. Just for your information, farmer producer organizations are simply just the name, farmers, those who are producers. So obviously in some or the other manner, even the smallest of the farmers is a producer. So this basically is an organization which puts together those farmers who are producers of small productions. Means they are not very huge farmers, very affluent farmers, and that is why this organization brings them all together, so that they are not exploited by the larger forces in the market. Then what are the problems with AIF? First of all, it is not beneficial for small farmers. This is the main issue, because the large farmers or the richer farmers, they can definitely afford a lot of things. So there is hardly any subsidy or hardly any government intervention that they require specifically. But all in all, the smaller farmers are those who need protection, right? But in such a scenario, this will not be very beneficial for the small farmers, as they cannot really hold the stocks for long. Like just I said, if there is a farmer who's producing just, for example, who's producing just those 100 kgs of wheat, definitely he needs to sell it up. Now what happens is that many a times even the market is very saturated, but still he has to sell his produce, because he needs money for his own survival and preparation for the next harvesting, next sowing and harvesting as well. These farmers do not really have a surplus of money in their hand that, yes, okay, fine, they can wait and we'll sell our produce after 3 to 4 months. Until then we have this much of saving that we can run our own household. But that definitely is not the case with the small farmers. And secondly, future of the agri market. Basically, the value of traded contracts in agri futures in NCDEX. So NCDEX, basically it is the largest one which is in this field. It is the largest agri futures market. Was only 1.5 lakh crore in July 2020, and volume was about 12.5 million in 2019. Basically, here we need to understand that what do we mean by agri future. Generally speaking, agri-future that when we try to analyze the future prospects of our agriculture activities. For example, if we are sowing a particular thing, what is the future of this thing, that how much will the market be able to absorb this commodity? Secondly, what will be the fair price that we can get against this commodity? Thirdly, the weather conditions, the market conditions, the requirements of the people, consumers, etc. So there are a lot of future activities or future prospects on which the produce or the benefit of that farmer depends, and that is generally known as the agri future. That is why it is very important that that specifically in the area of agriculture, which is so much dependent upon the future conditions, the farmer takes a very wise decision, and only then he agrees to put in his money, effort, time, and every penny that he has, for that matter, in that particular harvest. Then let's see that what should be the steps that can be taken. We should train the FPOs, which were the farmer producer organizations, about the negotiable warehouse receipt system and agri-futures. This might seem a bit daunting, but it is a very simple concept wherein it is said that fine, the smaller farmers should be allowed. There can be a system wherein a small farmer is allowed to store his produce in the cold store or the processing unit, and he can get an advance against it. So generally what used to happen was, like, if he has stored 100 kgs of his wheat, so if he'll sell 2 kgs, he'll get the money for 2 kgs. If he sells 5 kgs more, so he'll get the money for 5 kgs now. But then, according to the negotiable warehouse receipt, it is proposed that fine, let that farmer store his 100 kgs of wheat and give him the advance money, for example, for 50 kgs, so that till the time he's able to actually sell that 50 kg or the next 50 kg in total, he has some money in his hand at least to run his household and basic necessities. So that is a very brilliant idea, which should be, it should be carried on. Secondly, it should increase government agencies' participation in agri-future so that any kind of exploitation is not able to take place. Thirdly, banks that gives loans to FPOs and traders should participate more actively into this. And fourth, make government policies more stable and market friendly, obviously, because they should be centralized at the farmer himself. With this, let's see that what do we have for news and flash today. Mauritius declared an environmental emergency. The step was taken after a bulk carrier, MV Wakashio, broke into 2 parts near Blue Bay Marine Park, Mauritius. So this should be kept in mind that where is the Blue Bay Marine Park located? It is in Mauritius. Before breaking into 2, the ship has leaked more than 1,000 tons of oil in the pristine waters off the coast of Mauritius, which is very, very hazardous for the entire aquatic system that is there, the marine species and everything, threatening the marine park comprising mangrove forests and endangered species. Again, there is a small question for you, that in India, where do we find the mangrove forests, or on which area of India has the mangrove forests? It was recently in news as well. Secondly, Israel-UAE deal. Recently, the White House announced that the UAE, which is the United Arab Emirates, will establish diplomatic relations with Israel. Another big news, that it should be known that UAE and Israel are getting into a deal together, and in return, the Prime Minister of Israel, who is Benjamin Netanyahu, will give up plans to annex the West Bank. So here is the question. Basically, West Bank, now you have to find out that West Bank is a disputed issue. Either is it between UAE or Israel, or between Israel and some other place. So the main territory of the state that Palestine was. So I think you all have your answer. So yes, this was all for today. We hope it was an informative session for you. Do check out the Hindi TNA as well. I think it will be really, really great for you all. Stay tuned with LawSikho for such more sessions to come. Thank you so much.